There is no part of Australia where a prescription drug misuse problem is not present. So there's a bit more in some parts of the world than others, but it's everywhere.
More people are dying from drug overdoses today than from gun homicides and motor vehicles combined, and more than 11 million abused prescription opioids.
So the main prescription drugs that are misused, the big groups are the opiates, things like endone, oxycontin, that sort of thing, the morphine group of drugs, and then the other one is the benzodiazepines, so things like Valium, temazepam. There's a massive problem of OxyContin misuse in America. That country uses 80% of the world's supply of OxyContin, that one country, which is extraordinary.
I'm as dependent on OxyContin as I am on my glasses to see.
Buy one, get one free, prescription drugs.
So we have a huge problem with OxyContin in this country.
We're here to call out the Sackler family who've become synonymous with the opioid crisis.
Patients get these prescription medications in all sorts of different ways. Often it starts when people come out of a hospital, so they don't start necessarily as a prescription drug misuser, but they come out of hospital on a benzo for sleep or something for pain. They go back to their doctors and they get some more, and within a few weeks they find they're hooked. Then they start misusing, and then they start going to lots of different doctors, and they go to doctors with all sorts of stories about stress, or I can't sleep for the benzos, or severe pain that's not being controlled for the opiates. And they're very, very good at spinning stories that mean that doctor feels they have to give them the drugs. There are huge numbers of what we call doctor shoppers here in Australia, people who go to lots and lots of different health clinics to other doctors trying to get prescription medications. In fact, there are more doctor shoppers than there are doctors. In my view, there are three groups of doctors when it comes to this territory. They're the group of doctors who really know what they're doing. I hope I'm one of those, who don't dish these things out, but that's a fairly small group. There's another group who are what I call the profligate prescribers, the ones who'll pretty much give these drugs to anyone, and authorities should be jumping on much more strictly. But there's a big group in the middle who are stuck because they know, no, I shouldn't be prescribing this stuff, but they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to say no. So one of the tools that doctors have needed for such a long time is what we call a real-time prescription monitoring system. A way that doctors can go online and see what prescriptions someone has had recently and whether they've been dispensed. It's been there in Tasmania for a few years and has been really successful in reducing the prescription misuse rate in Tasmania. Finally, here in Victoria, we've got it. It's called SafeScript. And it's a way that when a doctor tries to prescribe a drug that's a known drug that can cause problems, they have to have a look online and see whether or not that patient's been misusing. So it's a really good way for doctors to check, and a good way for a doctor to be able to say, oh, actually, you've had this recently. I'm now not comfortable prescribing it for you. There is no option to opt out, and quite right too, because the only people who are going to want to opt out are the people who are misusing these medications. This is not about privacy. This is about health, and it's about safety. And there's no way people should be allowed to opt out. You can't opt out of using a safety belt. You can't opt out of SafeScript. So we know that prescription drugs now kill more people than the road toll. But that's just deaths. Deaths are easy to measure. For everyone who dies, there are 10, 20, maybe 30 people who are badly affected by being addicted to prescription drugs. One user told me, these drugs stole my soul. All my life was dedicated to these drugs. That's a harm which we don't measure.